All right, here we go. All right, let's get this set up and get going. All right. Okay, let's bring Sally up here. How's it going, everybody? All right. Start, unmute. What's going on, Sally?
Hello, hello.
What's happening? Isn't this an exciting time to be alive?
Isn't it just? It really is. It's fascinating, it's exciting, it's expansive, and it's all about the love and it's all about the heart.
Right?
So feeling truly blessed right now.
And there's nothing to do but smile. Just smile and be yourself, right?
That's it. That is it. All the old is falling away, the old beliefs, the old fears, the old patterns. It really is time for us to bring forward who we truly are.
Yeah.
And it's about time.
Yeah, it is about time. And the more we disconnect from the fear, from the 3D, the more that we allow in the higher dimension and bring
Totally.
this heaven to earth.
That's right. That's exactly what the star beings have said. It's about bringing heaven home to our hearts, and our hearts are here on earth. So it really is a exciting time, really exciting.
So have you had any, I don't know if this is probably a normal thing for you every day, but have you had any recent contact with Star Family, and have you picked up on any intel that's can give us a kind of a heads up to what's happening right now, or anything you can offer?
I can't, the way the star beings work with me isn't through sort of like verbal guidance. It isn't, I don't hear words as such. But what's happening, I've noticed with the recent channelings, is that their vibration and their presence has really ramped it up. Oh my God, they are really coming through with so much more power. Power's a difficult word, but it feels like the energy has really magnified and amplified, and people are really feeling it. It's not anymore just a really nice experience. It is like something is really shifting within us. We really are shifting on an energetic level, and certainly I'm feeling the power coming through from them now.
Yeah.
And
That to the human chaos frequency that is the void, that is
yes,
the other side of fear, is prevalent, but at the same time there's some excitement. Morgan got a download about 3 weeks ago one day, and she just said, oh my God, I feel this tremendous chaos coming on. Now this has happened in the past, and sometimes it's like, about her, about us, or what we're about to get into, or something collective, or all of the above. But this time was different because she said there's something with it. And I said, what's that? And she said, there's this excitement. There's this excitement that's coming with this chaos. And
yes.
and I think that describes pretty good what people are feeling, regardless of what's being presented to us or what we're being approached with as far as energy goes. This is it. This is, the old cliche people keep saying, we're the ones we came for. Well, this is why we came, to
This,
be
yeah,
here right now. Yeah.
yeah. That's how I'm feeling as well. And it feels, from an outsider's point of view, if you haven't got a big toe in the spiritual world or any understanding on a more sort of bigger view of what's going on, it must be hard to hear that we're actually excited and we can feel the potential and we can feel how amazing this is on a collective level, for humanity. And that's not to deny some of the challenges that are going on, but it is the underlying energy of this change. This really is it. Just like
Yes,
you
it
said,
is.
this is it. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Everything is being deconstructed too. I
Yeah.
mean, we look for so much evidence, and we have, and rightfully so. I mean, we were brought up to believe that the external experience was where we could make the difference, when in fact we know now, as within without. So as we align ourselves, things come into further alignment in our circles closest to us, and eventually to the collective experience. But
That's it.
if you look at just the literal aspect of what's happening, the financial systems are crumbling. The
Mhm.
governmental systems are crumbling, the religious institutions are crumbling, the educational system, the primary mechanism for our institutionalism, you know,
That's it. We're
of our
making the
children.
monkeys, as it
Yeah,
were,
it's
for the
all crumbling.
conforming.
I mean,
Yeah.
pulling them out of the schools
Mhm.
worldwide, that's one of the best things that's could ever happen in this world.
Mhm.
These young kids are clear channels. They're getting those channels clogged up just like we were. They haven't
Yeah.
been exposed to it near as much as we have. And so they're pretty, their communication with the infinite intelligence, whatever the
Yes.
face of that infinite intelligence might be, is much closer to them than it has been for us. Some of us had to remove quite a bit of shadow from our field just to be able to connect. And these kids are able to do it. They had that 9-year-old kid, Steven, that was on Michael Whitefeather's channel the other day,
Yes.
pulled over
Yeah.
200 people. He was communicating or connected to the Pleiadians and Arcturians. Morgan's working on getting some more young people on here. We've had some
Fantastic.
on before, but it's time for us to support that and get these kids out there. This is the mainstream media. This is the real news. All these things that we've been doing for all these years that have been too woo-woo for the rest of the world.
Woo-woo's the new normal.
That's right. That's absolutely
Yeah.
right. So I know you connect every day, you
Mm.
know, and and I love what you said about how things are shown to you and given to you.
Mhm.
Um, how's your connection been over the last couple of weeks?
Really strong. And what I've noticed is that there's a real call to be out in nature. It's for me, just really taking myself outside into nature is core to enhancing the connection, to deepening not only our presence here on earth, like really grounding this energy, grounding this higher vibration into the earthly experience, but it allows us to expand and open up to connect more deeply with the universe, with
Yeah.
star beings, light beings, guides, whatever label or energy you want to call it. So for me, there's a real call to be outside,
Yeah.
and I'm super lucky, live up in the mountains. There really isn't much presence around us of houses or anything like that. So I have got the freedom to be sitting out on the mountainside. And I find that if I'm inside for too long, there's a real, I've got to get out. I've got to get out, got to get out, got to be able to breathe, need the space around me.
Yeah.
And when I'm out in nature, that is when they come through. And they come through for me more with just feeling so peaceful and grounded and blissful, with feelings and emotions. Certainly when they're connecting directly with me, it's more about that. They don't sit and have a conversation with me.
Right. Right. I know. You know what? And like Morgan gets like verbatim stuff, right? Every
Yeah,
night when we connect, if there's any talking done, 99.99% of the time she's doing it.
yeah.
I might get a flash or a phrase, but she gets, I mean, paragraphs. I
Wow.
get mine's more like yours, like last night. Now we've just been through about 5 or 6 days of the biggest elevations, expansions, alignment that we've ever had, either one of us individually and together as a couple. It's been absolutely extraordinary, and I think she'll be writing about it and maybe coming on and talking about it. So last night, 2 nights ago, she kind of melted down. Yesterday, and during the night, uh, I started melting down. I couldn't sleep. And this was nothing like emotion. Well, it was a little bit of emotion, like I want to get out
Mhm.
of here. I want to go home, beam me up, and all that stuff that we've
Yeah.
all had. But when I woke up, my body was totally fatigued. Hers had been the same way, and it was a pretty rough day. I had 3 shows. I made it through 2. I don't know how. And the last one was Shanine. I screwed up. I hit a button and everything got wiped out. And I was like, I got to lay down. I
That's
crashed, had some lucid dreams. But last night when we connected, and there was some things that were said that were very profound that eventually will come out, and I'm sure other people are picking up.
Mhm.
Uh, but what happened after that, after she stopped channeling, I heard this really loud tone like I've never heard before. It was really like maybe several tones or a dozen tones, and they were all, I could hear them all individually, but all as one. And they kind of, the message was, we're here, we're not letting go, we're not going away. No, this tone's not going to stop. And I promise you, it must have taken me 30 minutes, 45 minutes to go to bed, and it was there in my ear the entire time, and I just aligned with it. No language, no conversation back and forth, just knowing to align with it. And I could see a lot of colors and a lot of bright white light, blue white light, gold white light. So, this is what we're stepping into, I think. I think this telepathy, the nonverbal stuff,
Mhm.
uh, the synchronicities have been absolutely incredible, way beyond numbers. You know,
Yeah.
birds flying by at just the right time when you're having a conversation with the universe, uh, sounds, colors, things like that. Have you had that type of stuff happening with you? Have the synchronicities been increasing with you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a flow. There is just like a flow when you have like the idea or something just really comes in and you go with it, it really flows. And whereas before, my mind might have kicked in. I said, oh no, you can't do that, or that's not possible. There's just no doubt anymore. There's just no doubt, and there's a complete and utter trust.
Yeah,
And it's fascinating to live like this. It's absolutely fascinating because it goes against everything that maybe my generation was brought up with, which is what
yeah,
you operate from the head.
yeah,
And you
exactly.
do what you're told and you believe what you're taught. But we are moving into, well, we're already in it where that is completely shifted because we're feeling it.
Yeah,
We're already feeling it and living it as well. It's not happening in 2 days time, a week's time. It's here already.
yeah, it
And the
is.
more that we allow it, instead of struggling or doubting or resisting, the more incredible this shift is going to be. And it's also going to move with more ease and grace. We don't
Yeah,
need to struggle against it.
yeah, and I think another thing that's kind of validating for people like you and for like us and many people out there, has been, we've had to detach either by force or by flow. It didn't really matter, but we had to detach, and for some people this goes back years.
Mhm.
Um, and detach from family, detach from roles, jobs, homes, geographical locations,
Mhm.
3D belief systems, uh, the old 3D sex, 3D relationships, and in many cases have had to detach from having material things,
Yeah.
and having less and less. And I think that this is a great validation for us, because as the energy that the energy of fear, the programs that support it, the energy of lack, and the programs support it are being blown away. We've done the groundwork here. Energetically, we've opened the doors to this new field that you're describing, that's more about feeling and telepathy and intuition and the heart.
And the heart, yeah. And I look back at the journey that I've been on and with my husband about, how we moved here to Spain and how we completely simplified our life. We walked away from sort of like traditional modern day day life just over almost 2.5 years ago, and simplified everything down to what we actually wanted, what made us happy, what do we want from this life, you know? And we want peace, we want, yeah, we want security and stability, but not something that's built on a foundation of having to have the corporate job or anything like that. It was like the stability that comes from your happiness
Yeah.
and your connection. And you know, I can see now the flow that we've been through to bring us into this point so that we can move through this shift, you know, from this, you know, beautifully isolated place up in the mountains, which enables us to let go of worries and fears and just hold the energy here and
Yeah.
hold the energy and bring it through and really ground it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great piece, and there's no power greater than the power peace begets, you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you can't fake it either. I think
No,
another thing that's happening, a lot of us have become more in tune with our bodies, and our bodies have been speaking to us, you know, for the last few months, maybe even a year or so. More and more people are talking about it. This is evidently part of the transformation from a carbon-based body to a light body.
sure.
I've also noticed in my own right, and I've seen other people talk about it, uh, that they're able to actually see physical changes in their body, or detect physical
Mhm.
transformational changes in their body. And I know yesterday was probably the most evident to me that I've ever had. I think our DNA is being upgraded at a much faster rate than it
Mhm.
has been in the past, even though it's been getting faster and faster. Have you noticed anything with your body or your husband or anyone around you?
Yeah. I definitely notice that I don't feel the same. I really do not feel the same on the inside, and I notice that my face tends to shift quite a bit. So I'm not feeling as solid, but I'm also really craving greens.
Yeah.
My body is just craving continually greens. Um, and there's so much less tolerance to alcohol, to caffeine, and you know, it's perfect because of the isolation. Those old routines of going for a coffee or going for a drink or something, or for sundowners, that's been taken away. So we being put into a place where we're kind of not forced into it, but there is no choice. We are moving, we are shifting now, and there's no distractions. And
Yeah.
that's such a gift. There's no distractions.
Yeah, I know. You know, we've got three computers. I'm on the one that's the oldest and the slowest. And the other two I took to a computer place this morning, and it was what, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm in a tourist haven, you know,
Hmm.
South St. Pete Beach, Florida. And there was nobody on the road.
Yeah.
There were very few businesses open. And I thought, wow, I mean, what a gift. You
Yes.
know, everybody is staying put,
Yeah.
which what happens? And a lot of us got forced into what I call the universal isolation when we woke up or on our path to awakening.
Hmm.
And what happens when you have all that alone time? You start
Yeah.
thinking about things. you start thinking about you start thinking about things that you can, like you said, uh, you can not think about when we distract ourselves. And so much of our distractions are second nature, like riding a bicycle or driving a car now.
That's it. We don't realize it. We don't realize we're caught in these behaviors or these routines or patterns until we're forced out of them or just jolted out of them.
You know, one of the things that's been happening too, and I don't even have to ask anybody, is that we continue, even those of us who have been on this path for a number of years, we continue to get presented with lower 3D frequencies, whether
Hmm.
they be memories that are coming back, you know, whys is coming back up, traumas,
Yeah.
uh, being at least being lured into, you know, dramatic, egoic, emotional engagements, making new choices, you know, kind of honing our ability to discern where to put our focus. Um, so there's some of that going on too, that it obviously isn't lasting as long,
Yeah.
but it's still being presented. I don't know. and I would like to get your perspective on it. Is there anything that, I mean, what can we do that would be a higher priority, I guess, than to continue to hit these frequencies that are presented to us of the old 3D and integrate and align them? Is there anything we can do to make a more powerful contribution to the collective than to align ourselves?
I think for me, it is being out in nature.
Mhm.
Even just, even if you can't take yourself off to a park or to the mountains or to the beach, try and get your bare feet upon Mother Earth, your bare
Yeah.
soles. Or if you've got a carpet, pretend, visualize, feel it as the grass or the rocks or the sand, and just really ground into that, because the grounding isn't about, holding yourself down. It's that strong foundation that for me sets me free,
Yeah.
really expands everything. And moving the body, dancing, drumming, it's singing, using your voice, moving the body. That's what's really powerful for me. I've never been one to sit on a cushion and meditate, because
No, me either.
it doesn't work for me. So I need
No.
to do something that brings me joy.
Yeah.
And that comes from nature or from dance or from music. So
Yeah.
that's hugely powerful.
Yeah. I think another thing too is creativity.
Oh
That's another
yeah.
thing. That's another thing about being alone, or
Mhm.
even being having things removed from your life, whether they
Yeah,
be materialistic or relationships, connections, whatever. But you kind of have to start getting creative, because there aren't these things that are built-in distractions,
that's
and
it.
some of
Yeah.
that too is that chatter. And I think what you're saying too about the getting out in nature, where there are no words.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
are no words at all, and that's the meditation,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you said about the creativity, because especially here in the Alpujarras, there's a friend who's actually set up a group, and it's for creators and creatives while we're in this space of alleged isolation, because actually it's bringing us closer together. And it's all these different spaces are coming up online of people coming together to
Yeah.
share, to inspire, to support, to laugh, to have fun, to comfort. And just, I'm loving that aspect of what's happening, because it really is bringing people closer together than certainly I've ever seen or felt before.
Yeah, isn't
So
that something?
it's
Isn't that something?
yeah,
It's like this grid's lighting up. It's
it
lighting up.
sure is.
It really
And we've
is.
all got our own unique way of doing it, and that's even more of a gift. So somebody might really want to share a song from the heart. Somebody might drum or draw or create music or art or whatever it is. And all of that, anything that brings us joy or expansion, excitement, that is raising our vibration.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
whatever it is, I say do it. If it brings you joy, do it.
Right on. And if it doesn't make sense, do it.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
If your
So,
head's kicking up a stink, do it.
so the divine feminine, the mother goddess energy.
Yes,
We all know that this energy has been suppressed in all of us and in this realm for a
yes,
long time.
yeah.
And that uh, its reemergence beginning 2, 3, 4 years ago. It's come a long way. The masculine
Mhm.
energies uh, begun to come and
Yeah.
meet that energy. Are you feeling this mother goddess divine feminine frequency rising in all of us? Are
Oh
you
yeah.
seeing evidence of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's more about women. It's not about women suddenly becoming, the warrior goddess type archetype. It is about women being themselves and
Yeah.
being able to really own who they are,
Yeah.
no matter what role they have in this earthly plane. They're owning the fact that they are intuitive, they are powerful, they are of unconditional love, they are the creators of life. And so many more women are actually just owning who they are, and they're not afraid. Well, there may be some, nerves about actually showing up and stepping up and speaking up maybe at the beginning, but it's becoming something that really can't be ignored from within us. You know, it's like it has to happen. We have to do it. We can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was last month, I was actually in Ireland with my beautiful co-creative soul sister, and we held what we call like a Rising Visionary Day. And we had a really amazing group of women and one really beautiful, brave man come in. And it was all about setting that energy free within us, stepping beyond the blocks and the fears, you know, that we've been brought up with or conditioned into living through.
Yeah.
So there is a real uprising, but it's, again, it comes from love.
Yeah.
It's not the masculine uprising power. It comes from compassion and love, and of owning who we are and being able to stand in our light, whatever we do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the traditional feminism, you
No,
know, it's
no,
not
it's
like
not
that.
feminism. No.
No, no, I like what you said. It's just them being themselves
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not hiding what they've always had to offer and what was suppressed as well, you know,
Yeah.
but just being themselves. We've had a lot of women come out on this show in 1,800 episodes over, you know, over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And I can't think of a more important time to do it now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's other platforms such as this one that support this energy coming out. You know, we need to hear these stories. We need to hear, you know, like Gaia Tree and the dragons communicating with her, or Marita Shashan and the messages she's been getting for years and years. Not only the stuff that they're getting now, but some of these stories go back 5, 10, 15, 20 years and
Yeah.
more. And you know, Sandra Walters, Shakina Rose, both in the 90s. I mean, there's plenty of people. We had a beautiful lady on the other day, Susan Borstein, started in the 60s or 70s,
Yeah.
I believe. You know, I mean, these are folks that have been doing the work when no one even knew what the word ascension was. They,
That's
even
it. Yeah.
before the harmonic thing that happened, whatever they call it, in 1987. I mean, they've been doing this for a long, long, long time. These are our elder energies. These are
Yes.
the ones that are carrying the sacred wisdom, and most of them are feminine incarnations, you
Mhm.
know, and most of them have had, you know, that reservation and apprehension of stepping forth because of our lineage and because what's occurred. We all can tap into that and feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've all chosen to be here at this time. That we all have a role to play, and we can't hide from it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we just can't hide from it, because it's there, tapping on our shoulder, tapping on our gut, saying, come on, you've stepped forward, step up, own, radiate, share. We just can't hide it. It's like the drumbeat from inside. It's time to be heard. And you know, it doesn't mean that you have to be on a stage, you
Yeah.
know, going da da da, listen to me. It's not about that at all. It's about completely being at home with yourself and letting go of the conditioning and the fears that are so ingrained in us that we didn't even know they were there in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Some of that stuff ran deep. That shift ran deep. Some of that.
didn't it just? Yeah. I was brought up in such a traditional military family. Oh my God. And I was taught to be the good girl and how to behave, and always just nod and smile, and agree, and don't rock the boat, you know, don't say anything that's going to upset anyone. And now, you know, and I didn't realize that I was being so suppressed. But my parents didn't know anything different. There's absolutely no issue there. But my goodness, I look at how many of us came from that sort of background, and how many of us are actually now freeing ourselves up just to
Yeah.
be ourselves.
Yeah. That's sovereignty.
Yeah.
Sovereignty, liberation, freedom. And sovereignty, you know, that's a heck of a frequency. There's a lot of things involved with that frequency, like grace and love, you know, and
That's it.
courage.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing I think that's been happening too, I've noticed in the work I do, is people like yourself who have been connecting for a long, long time. And these energies and entities that when they first came in, we thought were external, you know, I mean, because it was
Yeah.
such a powerful thing. Some of us saw apparitions, you
Mhm.
know, and And as time's gone on, I've noticed people are, when I ask the questions, and even when I don't, they're hearing it from inside themselves.
Mhm.
They're understanding that we embody all that stuff. These are pieces of us speaking to us, and we are actually the center point of it all, which is so
That's it.
fascinating because we're in a physical experience. But the
Yeah,
non-physical, I guess it's another way to put bringing heaven to earth, is the non-physical fully integrating and embodying and utilizing the powers of what we might call the non-physical into a physical reality.
that's it.
That's, to me, that's like crazy potential, teleporting, instant manifestation. uh I mean, to me, that's incredible when we start seeing stuff like that, because we know one thing is that as our energy increases and expands, other souls pick up on it, even if the human aspect isn't fully conscious. And
That's
so
it.
when we start to see evidence, hard evidence, where the human aspect always wants, man, that's really going to change things. I think the math's going
Totally.
to change totally.
Yeah. And this is it. If we're holding this vibration, we're holding all this incredible energy and state of being within us. We don't have to do anything. We don't need to be sitting on a corner shouting about it. We just have to radiate it.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've noticed is really coming through the star beings. It's not about telling other people or teaching other people or healing other people or guiding. It's just about opening up their own doors
Yeah.
to allow them to reconnect and remember and to be, because
Yeah.
as soon as we start being, there we go, we're plugged
Yeah.
in and
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah, it's like our natural nature, and our energy
Yeah.
is our energy is the example. And you're
Mhm.
right about the shouting on the corner, right? Because and that's not to take away from anybody or anything, because
Absolutely.
I've done it. We've all done it,
Mhm.
because we're so moved by the power of it. I was sitting there last night, laying down, and I was with Morgan as we put our hands together, and as we went, silent, and I thought, oh my God, this has actually happened.
Mhm.
It's actually happened. All the other things that enter my mind aren't even important. They don't matter.
Mhm.
Just align with that tone, align with that reality, because anybody that's connected, and we've all connected, and then we go and try to tell somebody, or we try to make a post, or we try to do a video on it. The
Yeah.
more we open our mouth, figuratively and literally,
Yeah.
the more diluted it becomes.
Yeah.
So there you go with your explanation of being. And
Yeah.
what is being? Being is just our natural state. And you're
Yes.
right. In that natural state, everything we need comes to us.
Mhm.
I've gotten to the point now where I have very few questions, if any, to ask the universe.
Yeah.
My human aspect will pop in and say, well, what about this and what about that? But the reality is, we already know what we want. We
Yeah.
already know, uh, our heart knows. The universe
Yeah.
is our heart. I mean, so,
Yeah.
and that's where these increasing synchronicities, I think, are really starting to come into play, because I'm watching it happen everywhere. I'm
Mhm.
watching people do it, like Vera and Augusti leaving Europe, going to the States. It didn't work out. They end up with some other friends, and all these magical stories,
Mhm.
you can't make this shift up.
No, we certainly couldn't. And I certainly didn't see it coming this quickly either. I think there's a lot of us that might have thought, oh yes, we know there's a shift coming and life is going to change and we have to change. But it always, in a sense, it always felt over there or in the future.
Yeah.
And now here we are right in the middle of it. And
Yeah.
it really is up to us just to hold our centers, to stay in our hearts and to
Yeah.
just to keep radiating that love,
Yeah.
you know.
And maintain that neutrality. And
That's
that's,
it.
and
Yes.
yeah, because I mean, it's so easy, because it's been our programming. It's been our
Hmm.
experience. Our experience has
Yeah.
been polarity. So we've been born on one side or the other, or we take one side or the other.
Mhm.
We're on one side or the other side of the fence. So it's really important that we really guard our thoughts and think about, and I think the universe is supporting us. The universe is supporting us with this universal isolation that each and every one of us is experiencing more
Mhm.
and more and more. And that is to examine, if I think that group or that energy over there is bad or evil or dark or wrong or whatever the case is, and I don't identify with them, I'm creating the separation still. You know,
Absolutely.
it takes practice. I mean, everything that we've ever attained in our life, all of us, unless we were in a perfect flow and then it just comes to you, we had to
Mm.
practice it. We had to walk the talk. And I think that's how this soul gasmic cosmic energy works, is to engage it and to live it and to be it. And it's so crazy because it's not these complicated actions that create that. It's the it's getting in nature,
Yeah,
it's
it's the
getting quiet.
simplicity.
Yeah, it's turning off the distractions. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole. There's so much on social media and news, and I think it's also important that we know what's going on around us, but we just don't attach to it energetically and emotionally. We don't
Yeah.
give it the power. We don't hand ourselves over to what
Yeah.
is happening and
Yeah.
to the collective. And the more we hold our space and stay in our love lane, as it were,
Yeah.
the easier the transition is going to be, and the more that we're actually helping just through holding love,
Yeah.
holding that high vibration through the mundane still,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. You
Yeah.
thought it was going to be all these fireworks and, grand and it is. But I think part of the reason that isn't, it's not really like it's instantaneous kind of thing. I
Mhm.
mean, we may hit a point where there's a flip, a light switch that's
Yeah.
flipped.
There's gonna have to
And
be a tipping point.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but the thing is, we have a lot of uh, activations every day.
Mhm.
And the other thing is we look at it linear wise. So
Yeah.
when we look at it linear wise, that, we might think, okay, well, it's going to happen at, 1:11 in the morning on the 11th, but it could be very well happening over a period of time.
Yeah.
That blink of an eye, that solar flare, I mean, the linear timeline is really slow motion of
Yeah.
what isn't time, but the way it really works, the
Mhm.
quantum part of it. So it could
Yeah.
be happening over time, and I think maybe that's another thing that's coming to people's understanding is, we're in it all the time. There is no more carrot on the stick. There is no more waiting. It's not coming. It's here.
Yeah. It's here. And also I really don't think that we need to know all the answers and
No.
have to know exactly what's going on, because if we try and understand and analyze it, then we're taking ourselves back into our heads. So there's a huge gift in the surrender into what is, and to allowing it and to feeling it, but not having to explain or describe or um, take it into sort of like the mental levels. Simply being. It just all for me. Everything just comes back to being.
Yeah. Are you finding a more synchronistic, I'm talking about like with your partner or with your friends, people that you're in contact with, are you finding an increase in telepathy or anything that stands out in your relationships?
Certainly with my friend Jo Beth Young, we seem to we've worked together for many years. We've been friends for many years, and we sometimes we just reach out and we've had the same thing in our minds, or we've been going through the same thing, or we've been feeling the same way. But unless you start communicating and talking to each other, you never really
Yeah.
you might not discover it. So we have to be more open to maybe opening up the conversations about it.
Yeah.
And that again can be a challenge, because you don't want to be thought of as like a nutter or the woo woo. But actually, it is the reality of what we're experiencing now, and feeling other people, like, feeling where people are at. You can feel without
Yeah.
having to be told or seeing them. So I do feel that that is definitely increasing. Definitely.
Yeah. Now I don't know about you, but all my friends are nutters and woo woo. So I don't worry about being a nutter or woo woo. Uh, and I think too that like you said about having the conversations and getting that information out. Um, even like yesterday, and I'm not just saying it because it was me, because I've seen a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
Being transparent.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
said on the show, I don't want to be here. you know, on yesterday. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't even, I can't even think straight. I mean,
Yeah.
there's things happening to us that may not always feel great. We may not
Mhm.
understand, but that's happening to others too. And every time somebody talks about their experience, there's code and transformational
Yeah.
code,
Yeah.
awakening code in these communications. So
Yeah.
we cannot underestimate the power of one unique and equal soul's experience.
That's
No
it.
matter what it, no, like you said, no matter how mundane it may seem, because I think
Mhm.
in the paradoxical teachings of the universe, we're going to find out that all the complicated stuff is the mundane, and the mundane is the spectacular, profound, and that simplicity is beautiful and infinite. And I think that's where we're all headed back to. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, absolutely. We're being pulled away from that sort of really material, superficial, crazy go, go, go world. And we have no choice now but to have this space around us. And it's such a gift. And it really does. I have to admit, when we were told, when we've been here for what, a week and a bit, um, in what I'm going to call now love-ins rather than the lockdowns. And initially it was a case of, well, oh, I can't go out. And there was resistance to it. There really was resistance. I'm not free. But my God, when I let go of that resistance, which came from the head and trying to control the situation, there was such a gift bringing us back into present, into this moment and being.
Yeah,
And I'm a bit of a hermit anyway. So this does suit my lifestyle and my choices,
yeah.
but the freedom is within. It's within us.
Of
We
course,
just need
and
to
it's
connect
not
in.
cliche in words anymore.
No,
It's
it's
not.
the reality.
You can actually feel it, and
Yeah.
I think maybe not to the degree. Maybe there was less supportive universal energy by whatever means in the perfect design that we created over the years.
Mhm.
But now I think it's a different story, and part of the reason is because people are sharing their lives and their experiences.
Yes.
You know, to me, the experiences people are having, and I've had many people like yourself gifted on this show who have incredible skills and abilities that aren't what they were before, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because what got us here isn't necessarily going to get us to the next level. They've actually opened codes in people by sharing these skills and abilities, yes. But to me, it's the experiences that they have when I have a conversation with them that carry
Yeah.
so much code that
Yeah.
where people, instead of looking at them going, oh my God, I wish I could do that, or how do they do that? I mean, how can we not feel a difference between us and them? But when they look at them and say, oh my God, they're a normal person too, they get
Yeah.
triggered.
Yeah.
They have to consciously align themselves. They
Mhm.
had hard times. They went hungry. They were homeless. They've
Yeah.
been in broken relationships. I mean, the old saying, the grass is always greener, but the grass is the same grass everywhere. And I guess that's what I'm saying
Exactly.
about people sharing their experiences. And I just want to promote that as much as I can. Sarah Griffiths, Willie Mama, says she has a question. She says, ask Sally about what happened with the Mystic Art Medicine deck when she was in my house.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, hi Sarah. So, I went when I was I took Channeling Love to Ireland, and I went to stay the night with Sarah, and I had a live stream to do for my membership group, do like a weekly reading, and that was the night that I was staying with Sarah. And so I said, come on, Sarah, we'll do it together. I'll use the illumination deck and you use beautiful Cher Lynn's mystic medicine oracle deck.
Yeah.
And we did like a tandem reading, and it was beautiful, and the synchronicity was amazing, and we were just kept looking at each other going, oh my God, I can't believe it. And the energy was amazing. We finished the live stream and we were just sort of putting the cards away, and I turned around and there was the love card from Cher Lynn's deck. And the love card has a huge significance for me because I saw that painting in Glastonbury, and I fell in love with it, totally fell in love with it. almost bought the print but didn't, regretted it, and I thought, oh my God, why did I never buy that? It spoke to me so much. So, and then I met Cherlynn online, and I didn't realize she was the artist behind that incredible painting.
Yeah.
So that love card, which is the image of Christ,
Yeah.
really has such a significance. And all of a sudden, this love card was sitting on the windowsill on its own, and we thought we'd put all the cards away. And we just knew that Cherlynn was with us. So it's a magical thing. It was crazy, Todd.
No,
Absolutely.
you know what? Morgan and I stayed with her for 2 weeks,
Yes,
about 3 weeks before she transitioned.
yes, yes.
And we had an incredible time. I've talked about it. We did some videos with her. It was incredible. But I remember her telling us about Glastonbury. And I
Mhm.
remember her telling us about her time over there. And one of the things that came out of it was this painting that she did.
Yeah,
So there's been a lot of um, encounters, let's just say, with Cherlynn. I've read that people have talked about. I've had them, but I can promise you that was her, no
yeah,
doubt.
no doubt at all. It
It'd be
was
different if
incredible.
you put them all up and it was still on the table, but if it's sitting on the windowsill, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, it was sitting on the windowsill on its own. And it wasn't even one of the cards that had actually come up in the reading. So there was no logical explanation for it apart from the love that was coming through it. It was
Wow.
magical. And it's like,
Well,
thank you, Cherlynn. Thank
well,
you.
yeah, wow. That's powerful. Very
Yeah,
powerful. And of course, those kind of weird things always happen in Willie Mama's house anyway.
they do indeed. They do indeed. And yeah, I stayed overnight there and met her children, Dexter and Daisy.
Yeah.
It was just magical,
Wow.
really, really magical. And yeah, Daisy came up onto my lap and she gave me a hug, and it was like, wow, this beautiful soul star child. And
Yeah.
Dexter as well, incredible. It's like looking into ancient wisdom into
Yeah.
both their eyes. They're not normal kids. I don't know what you you know what I mean.
I don't think
They're,
any of them. I think they're all coming in
yeah,
clear. And that's
totally,
another blessing,
isn't it?
with
Yeah,
with this beautiful universal isolation,
yes,
is that there's going to be one hell of a baby boom in 9 months.
there sure is.
And that energy in itself will change the whole world,
Yeah, absolutely.
because we are energy, we are frequency. And
Ah,
these kids have this, they're clean, they're clear,
mhm. They're
they're
totally clear, and they
yeah,
know themselves. They
yeah,
have a presence about them,
yeah,
which, I know certainly I didn't, or, looking back through the generations, these younger children are such a gift because they're so connected
yeah,
and they know what's right for them as well. They know who they are.
yeah.
It's beautiful, really beautiful.
Did you want to do anything? I'm not really sure on what you do, but anything you want to do, or anything you want to talk about, or channel, or if you want to dance for us, like you were talking about earlier, or you want to sing, or if you have a message, or anything at all. Is there anything you want to cover?
Let's do some light language because I
Mhm.
haven't got the space here to dance, but
Yeah, I
maybe
was kidding. I've said
I
that to
almost
100 people. No one's actually done it, so don't worry about that.
well, when the weather's better here, I can go outside and do some drumming. We could do that another time, but I could do
Yeah,
some
cool.
light language now.
Right on.
If you
Yeah,
Yeah.
right on.
Okay. So I'll just take a moment, and the light language that comes through is direct, it's fast, from beyond the stars, but from our hearts. And we allow our hearts to understand and to receive, and for our bodies to shift, to process, to rise. Just taking a couple of deep breaths into our hearts, allowing our hearts to expand, feeling the presence of the star beings strengthen within us and around us. and surrender into the love. Te yana no makane yarana no makirkido bakari yana na yarana no makirkido bakari na makatato te yarana no yarana no makirkido bakari bakara bakara yana no makata yarana no makirkido yarana no makirkido bakara 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 to ta yana no makata yana no makirkido yana no yarana no makirkido bakari bakara no makirkido bakara bakara to te tana yarana no makirkido yarana no makirkido yarana na yana no makirkido bakari bakara kata yarana no makirkido bakari bakara bakara yana na karana yana no makirkido bakari kakatao to yarana na mo yarana na makirkido bakara yarana na yana no makirkido bakara bakara to kate yarana no makirkido bakara bakara koka taitana yarana na makirkido na yarana no makirkido bakara na makata to yarana na makirkido bakara magana no yarana no makirkido bakara to ta yarana makirkido yarana na makata yarana na makirkido bakara na makirkido bakara na yarana na makirkido bakara na makirkido yarana na makirkido bakara bakara to kapaka to kabanda ta pakirkido bakara yarana na makirkido bakara just allowing the vibration to move through you, grounding down through Mother Earth, and allowing these frequencies to move freely within your earthly vehicle. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can't make that shift up either.
I know, because I've tried, because I didn't trust myself in the beginning.
You can't do it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. No.
Yeah, you really can't do it. You can't, sometimes, and I've never heard one like that. I've never heard that. But so occasionally I've done like this kind of like an ancient song language thing, kind of like an indigenous thing. But there's been times when I've been alone or I'm laying next to Morgan, but I do it very quietly. I don't do it loud. And it comes out really like almost that fast. Yeah. And I know I'm like, oh, I'm not, how can you imagine something like this? This is, we can't, yeah. It's, I mean, what is there like when something like that happens with you, when it comes in, is there like a specific message, or is it in itself a non-verbal message or frequency?
I think for me, it's non-verbal. I think the less we attach to trying to put a meaning to it, the better.
Yeah, I agree.
And we allow it, and we allow it to do whatever it's coming through to do. And again, it's a lesson in surrender and allowing and getting out of our own way. Because we can feel it. My God, we can feel it. Absolutely. Even after the light language finishes, you can still feel that frequency and the vibration moving through you, and it continues to move through you. How can you put a label on that?
You can't.
You can't. Yeah.
You can't. It is what it is.
Yes.
And the more we try to explain it, the more we dilute it.
Some people say. So as I say, some people say that being with the star beings, it takes us beyond words, because that's where we need to be. We need to be completely out of our heads and in our hearts and allow whatever it is they're here to share with us to be felt. And,
absolutely. Do you have anything coming up? Anything you want to announce? Anything you want to?
Oh, sure. Next week, I'm doing an online channeling, a global channeling. I'm opening it up to everybody. It's going to be like just a free event. So that's on Thursday, the 2nd of April at 8 o'clock. I think I said, I can't remember now if it's 7 or 8 o'clock, but it'll be on my page. And that's a free channeling, and there'll be light language, pure healing. They'll share verbal guidance as well, and they connect visually through my eyes too. So it'll be the full shebang, just for everybody to come in and to enjoy the vibration. And
right on. Is that on your page, or is that on a different page?
It's going up today. I was creating the event, so it'll be up there literally by tonight.
All right, very cool.
And later in the year, I have the Divine Connection retreat with Martin McNichol, Swimming
Oh
with
yeah,
Wild Dolphins in Mozambique. So we have that
Mozambique.
as well. Yeah,
Wow, that
yeah.
sounds exciting. That's what it's
It
all about. Yeah.
exactly,
Well, thank you
exactly.
for coming on, sharing space with us, and honoring us with your presence. I enjoy spending time with you. It's fast and furious. I
It is,
love it.
yes. Moving
It's
on through.
yeah. But all
Thank
blessings to you and your partner and
you.
everybody else on your end. And
Thank you.
until the next time, I look forward to more collaborations. You keep,
Lovely. Thank you so much, Todd. It's been a pleasure.
you
Love to you
take care.
guys. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.